This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network. Asking folks now, after the Belgium terrorist attacks, do you think Apple should open up the data on the San Bernardino terrorist phone?
Honestly, I really think they should, and I kind of find it hard to believe that they can't open it, so it would be better. People would get questions answered. That's how I feel about it.
Now, should Apple make unhackable phones that even law enforcement cannot tap into?
Ooh, that's one of those gray areas for me. It's tough to decide, you know. I feel in certain circumstances, this is one of them where you really need to get information involving something like that. So it makes sense to be able to get into it, but at the same time, you know, people have personal lives, private phones. I mean, we had that whole NSA leak thing before, so it's one of those sketchy areas. That one's a tough one for me to honestly answer. It depends on the circumstance.
Okay. Now, an Israeli company says it can open up the terrorist phone. Now, what does this mean for Apple and global security?
They got to step their game up, because if there's somebody else, like I just said it a second ago, like I believe they can open it and there's something possibly stopping them. I don't want to sound like conspiracy theories, you know, but think about it. If somebody else out there can open it and Apple can't, what is that saying about them, their technology, their reputation? Like, I love Apple. I love their product. So if you can't get into your own security, what's that saying?
Okay. Now, what is the future for Apple if a foreign company can hack into their phone?
I mean, Apple's all about quality, so my honest opinion, they're going to step their security game up. They're going to realize what this means, and they're going to take more precautions. If anything, I feel too, they're going to step it up so they can really access their own phones properly and keep it out of the hands of other people that they don't want it to be involved in.
Is there any last-minute things you'd like to say?
No, just keep this away from Spider-Man.
Okay. So in closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, signing out. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, asking people now, after the Belgium terrorist attacks, do you think Apple should open up the data on the San Bernardino terrorist phone?
That's a tough question. It depends on how much information they have toward the different organizations, obviously, but I will say no.
Okay, now should Apple make unhackable phones that even law enforcement cannot tap into?
Once again, we have two different conflicts. I would say yes, because it protects your privacy, but on the same time, if a terrorist had those phones and you need to get information off of it, then the government should be able to.
Now, an Israeli company says that it can open up the terrorist phone. Now, what does this mean for Apple if an Israeli company says it can open up the terrorist phone? Now, what does this mean for Apple and global security?
They have Super Jew. They're just, I don't know, really smart, I guess.
What is the future of Apple if a foreign company can hack into their phones?
Go back to making fruits.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
Not really, just shalom and go Superman.
In closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, signing out. This is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, asking folks, now after the Belgium terrorist attack, do you think Apple should open up the data on the San Bernardino terrorist phone?
All that Apple needs to do is use the dark side of the Force and they will get what they need.
Now, should Apple make phones that are unhackable even to law enforcement?
Never. The First Order needs to access everything that it can.
Okay. Now, an Israeli company says it can open up the terrorist phone. Now, what does this mean for Apple and global security?
It means the Starkiller Base can destroy 5 planets if it wants to.
What is the future of Apple and What is the future of Apple if a foreign company can hack into their phones?
The future of Apple is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
Vader.
So in closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, signing out. Now, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network. Now, after the Belgium terrorist attacks, should Apple open up the data on the San Bernardino terrorist phone?
That's a very good question. I'm sort of on the fence about it because in the interest of safety, I think that it might be possible to do that, but then it opens up doors and, you know, in terms of privacy. But in this instance, I would say yes, I think they should be allowed to do it.
Now, should Apple make unhackable phones that even law enforcement cannot tap into?
Let me ponder that. I work in aerospace. Let me think about this. I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea.
Now, an Israeli company says it can open up the terrorist phone.
Yes.
What does this mean for Apple and global security?
Boy, I haven't had coffee. Let me see. Harley's thinking. Can I pass on that? I don't know what to say.
Okay. What is the future of Apple if a foreign company can hack into their phone?
Not very good. But again, I'm just worried about terrorism, and I'm a libertarian, so I believe that we should preserve our rights, the Second Amendment, other rights, but when it comes to terrorism, I feel that Apple might be within, well, the law enforcement may be in their jurisdiction to do that. I hope I'm giving you the answer you want.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say?
I'm having a blast at WonderCon, and thank you for asking me intelligent questions.
So in closing, this is Clark Kent from the Predatory Lending Network, signing out.
Bye.